Welcome back, everybody, to the Full 90. It is time for week 3 of the Champions League, and boy, oh boy, am I super excited. I might be making a follow-up video on the Champions League games based on the results and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. I've got some things planned in my head, and then obviously later this week, I'm going to be doing my Premier League predictions video. So this week on the channel is a big one. So in order to not miss a single upload, be sure to subscribe down below and click the notification bell because we're super duper close to 1,500 subscribers. Now let's get into the matches. So to kick us off for the 5 to 6 p.m. kickoffs on Tuesday, the 23rd of October, we have Athens hosting Bayern Munich and Young Boys hosting Valencia. Now the first game, Athens versus Bayern Munich, I'm going for a 2-0 away win to Bayern Munich. I'm pretty sure Ajax disposed of Athens. I think it was 3-0, and Bayern Munich drew with Ajax 1-1, which was a surprise. People expected Bayern to win, so that alone suggests that Bayern Munich are going to beat Athens quite easily. Obviously, it is at their home ground, so maybe the fans will rally them up a little bit. And as far as seasons go for Bayern Munich, it's not been their best. I think they're sitting maybe 5th in the Bundesliga right now, which, you know, you'd expect them to be at least top 2, you know, with Borussia, Dortmund and stuff like that. So they're not having the best season, so I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Bayern Munich. I mean, Athens, maybe... I don't see them getting anything out of this. I was going to say maybe they could score, but honestly, I think Bayern Munich will just be too strong for them. They should be too strong for them, so I'm going for a Bayern Munich win to start us off. The next game is a very interesting one. We have Young Boys versus Valencia. Now, Young Boys have had a bit of a tough start. They faced Manchester United and they faced Juventus, both very decent teams. Man United, they have their ups and downs, but, you know, overall, they're pretty decent. However, Young Boys can't be written off either because they're strong on the attack, and obviously in their domestic league, they're doing extremely well. And Valencia, I don't think they're doing that well in La Liga. I'm pretty sure they've only lost 1 game this year, but they've drawn like 7. So they're in the lower half of the La Liga table. And so I don't really know how this one's going to pan out. However, Valencia did manage to get a 0-0 draw with Man United. Arguably, Man United should have won that game. And although Young Boys, they will be very up for this. And if there is a game that they are going to outright win in the group stages, it will be this game against Valencia at their home ground, because I don't see them winning any of the others. However, I am going for a Valencia 2-1 scoreline, so 2-1 to Valencia, although Young Boys, I would love to see you prove me wrong, so please, if you can beat Valencia, that would be great, but realistically, I'm going to go for 2-1 to Valencia. The next game, we have Ajax versus Benfica. Now, Ajax are good, they're strong, everyone knew that, but they've been performing exceptionally well, obviously holding Bayern Munich to the draw and, you know, slapping up Athens as everyone expected, and Benfica, they managed to beat Athens 3-2, I'm pretty sure, and they had 10 men when they scored that 3rd goal. It was a very close game, but the fact that Benfica struggled so much to beat Athens, a team that Ajax just completely destroyed, I've got Ajax to win 2-1 at home here. It could be 3-1, it could be 2-0, it could be more convincing, but I'm keeping it close, and I'm going with my favourite prediction of all time, a little 2-1. Now we have Manchester United versus Juventus, and Cristiano Ronaldo, unless something changes, will be playing, because obviously the red card that would have had him banned for the Man United games was taken from a 3-match ban to a 1-match ban. And obviously Juventus, they beat Valencia in that game. He got sent off 2-0 with 10 men. It was 0-0, I think, and then they scored 2 goals with 10 men. They did extremely well, and then they beat Young Boys 3-0 in typical that was easy Juventus fashion. And I do think, despite Man United finding a bit of form, they seem to be playing a little bit more for Jose Mourinho now, which is interesting. I just think Juventus will be far too strong, especially with Cristiano Ronaldo and all the other insane players that they have. I'm going with a 3-1 away win to Juventus. Like I said, with the Valencia Young Boys one, there was room for Young Boys to maybe get something out of this game. Maybe Man United will draw, maybe, but I'd be very surprised if Man United get anything out of this. I'm going for the 3-1 win for Juventus. Coming up next, we have Real Madrid against Viktoria Plzen, and I'm going for a straight-up 3-0 win to Real Madrid. They did have a hideous blip, Toni Kroos passing the ball back against CSKA Moscow, and they actually couldn't get the win. They had so many shots, so much possession, but they couldn't even get a draw against Moscow, and they lost 1-0, which was pretty funny. I actually tweeted about that, saying that the Chelsea under-19s game and the Real Madrid game, they had the same stats pretty much, the two teams. The only difference was Real Madrid conceded and lost 1-0, and Chelsea under-19 scored 10 goals with the same stats. So you see how it is. Real Madrid were they should have got something out of that Moscow game despite going down. So yeah, they are better than Viktoria, Plzen. No one's questioning that. It's at home. I'm going for a 3-0 win to Real Madrid. Coming up next, we have Roma against CSKA Moscow. Now, Roma, they're one of my favorite teams. I really, really like them. They're very, very strong, and I see them winning this. I'm going to go with a 2-0, but for instance, I don't see it as unlikely as them going up in the first half. You know, I think in the first half, by halftime, they'll already be leading. You know, a bit of a halftime, full-time sort of bet type thing. I think Roma are going to beat Moscow. It could be by more than 2 goals, but I'm going with 2-0 for this video. The next game, still on Tuesday. This one's an interesting one, a tough one to call. Obviously, Manchester City had that blip against Lyon a while ago, losing 2-1. Shakhtar Donetsk against Manchester City at Shakhtar. Now, Shakhtar, there are goals in their games. They score a lot of goals, and they let in a few here and there as well, because they were 2-0 up against Lyon, and actually the game ended 2-2. So I'm going for a narrow 3-2 win to Manchester City. Man City as a club and as a squad have better players, better squad depth than Shakhtar, I think. And forgetting the game against Lyon, you know, they just recently won 5-0 this weekend in the Premier League. They should beat Shakhtar away. So I'm going to go with 3-2 to Man City. Goals at either end, goals flying. It could be a 3-0 to Man City, or it could be a draw. But 3-2 for this video to Manchester City. Now, the final game of Tuesday, TSG Hoffenheim versus Lyon. This is probably one of the hardest ones to call for this week of games, because Hoffenheim, they'll be up for this. They'll be at home. They're starting to find some form. Lyon, obviously, they beat Manchester City, which was a great result, and they're doing decently well in League 1, however you want to say it. So I could see Hoffenheim winning with the home advantage. I could see Lyon doing what they did to Manchester City and winning as well. So that means I'm going to share the spoils and go for a 1-1 Hoffenheim against Lyon. Moving on to the next day, another tough one to call. I think this is a Group A game. Club Brugge versus Monaco. Now, Monaco, once a team of, you know, high caliber. They were doing very, very well. They're doing not well this season at all. And Club Brugge, they're strong. They'll be up for this game. Obviously, they're probably expecting to not make it through the qualification with Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund in their group, both 6 points ahead of Monaco and Club Brugge. But Club Brugge, they did well against Borussia Dortmund. They only lost 1-0, and that was at the dying stages of the game. I do think with the home advantage that Club Brugge are going to get something out of this game, and I'm going to go with a 1-0 scoreline. The next game, another English football club. We have Tottenham Hotspur, who have had a bit of a dodgy start to the Champions League. They lost to Barcelona in a goal fest, 4-2. Barcelona, well, Lionel Messi just outclassed Tottenham, basically. And then they threw away the win when they were 1-0 up against Inter Milan, losing 2-1. I think was Icardi to blame there, I think, or something like that. I think he was the one who scored the goal. But for this game, I'm going to go with a 2-1 to Tottenham, because PSV are decent, especially domestically. They're very, very good, and they're very attack-minded. They do score goals, and I think against a team like Tottenham, who's not quite as fine-tuned as Barcelona, I could see them scoring a goal, especially in front of their home crowd. Again, this being a game that PSV genuinely feel like they can get something out of, even if they don't think they're going to qualify by this point. So I think they're going to push really hard, but I also think Tottenham will believe that they still have a chance to qualify, because yes, they're 6 points behind Inter Milan, but if they beat PSV, they then beat Inter Milan the next time round, they could get back into it. So I think Tottenham will push just as hard as PSV and will get a 2-1 victory. The next game in that group is Barcelona versus Inter Milan. I think Barca are just going to be too good for Inter. I'm going with a 3-1 win. Lionel Messi's been on form. He's been scoring in La Liga, scoring in the Champions League, of course. He's been doing insanely well, and Barcelona play around him so well. Luis Suarez plays super well with him, allowing him to do what he does. And although Inter Milan have had some good results, I'm pretty sure they beat AC Milan in the derby in Serie A recently, 1-0. But I think that was Icardi as well. But I just don't think they're going to be up to the standard of Barcelona. So I'm going for 3-1 to probably my favourites at this point, one of my favourites at least, to win the entire Champions League. The next game is a very, very tough one to call, and I actually changed my prediction here. Borussia Dortmund versus Atletico Madrid. Now, I looked at it on paper straight away, and I thought that's going to be a 2-1 win to Atletico Madrid away from home. And then I thought about it a little bit more. I started studying the teams a little bit, seeing their previous results and stuff like that. And I'm going to swap it around. I'm going to be ballsy, and I'm going to go for a home win. Borussia Dortmund 2-1 against Atletico Madrid. Now, for some reason in my head, I thought these two teams had played each other quite a bit before, but turns out they really haven't. They've played each other 4 times, and none of them have been this century. So we can kind of disregard that. I think Dortmund do have a better record against Atletico Madrid, but times have completely changed now. But this year so far, Borussia Dortmund are top of the Bundesliga, and they've scored, I think, 8 or more goals more than everyone in the entire league, including Bayern Munich. And Atletico Madrid are struggling a little bit in La Liga as well. I think they've won 4, drawn 4, and lost a couple, which is decent, but it's not top of the league like Borussia Dortmund. I think Dortmund are going to feel confident that they can do something in this game, and I am going to go for the 2-1 to Borussia Dortmund. The next game is a very difficult one to call as well. Galatasaray against Schalke. Now, yeah, this one, I don't know which way it's going to go. Schalke, Galatasaray, they can be extremely good on their day, and they can be a little bit sketchy on their day. Obviously, Schalke almost lost to Porto had it not been for a missed penalty. Galatasaray are good, and they're good on the attack, and they are at home. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd go with Galatasaray, but for this video, I'm going to go with 1 apiece. Again, a 1-1, just like the Hoffenheim-Lyon game, sharing the points between them. The next game is Liverpool against Red Star Belgrade. Now, I'm going to go with a 4-1 win to Liverpool. Liverpool do have some injury worries, but I just think they are going to be way too strong for Red Star Belgrade. However, in the game before, I predicted PSG to beat them 5-0. The final score was 6-1. Red Star Belgrade aren't mugs in front of net. If they have a chance, they could take it, because that's what they do in their domestic league. They take all of their chances and they score loads of goals. It's just with a better team, they're not going to get those chances. But I think they might grab one here, so that's why I'm going with Liverpool 4 and Red Star Belgrade 1. Now, the next game is going to be Lokomotiv Moscow against Porto, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win here. One of the more convincing wins of the week. I think Porto are, you know, they're lucky in the sense to be in the group that they're in. I think if they were in, say, Tottenham's group, they'd probably struggle. If they were in Dortmund's group, they'd struggle. You know, I think they would struggle in other groups, but with this one, they've kind of got almost an easier passage through, kind of like England in the World Cup knockout stages, because Porto are decent in the same way that England were in the World Cup, and they've got themselves a few opponents that aren't as great as the other ones they could have got, and they've still got to play Lokomotiv Moscow, who I think are going to finish bottom of the group twice. So they managed to beat Galatasaray, I think. They drew with Schalke after missing a penalty, and they've got to play Moscow twice. So I think Porto are going to finish top of the group, and I think this 2-0 is going to be one step closer to taking them there. Now, the final game, one of the biggest games of the Champions League match week, is PSG versus Napoli. Napoli, they're doing well. They managed to beat Liverpool, which was a great result for them. Again, I said this in the previous video, that draw with Red Star Belgrade is going to hurt them. It's going to come back and haunt them, because Liverpool and PSG, they're not getting anything other than 3 points out of those games. But Napoli have been doing pretty well this season, but PSG have been on another level. Kylian Mbappe, I think, scored, I might have missed this previous week's games, but at least before that, 10 goals in 7 games. Neymar scoring 11 out of 11. They're linking up very, very well, and I think at home, they are going to be way too strong. I think PSG are going to win this one 3-1 to top the group at this stage on goal difference ahead of Liverpool, who will be closely behind, putting Napoli down into 3rd spot. So that is going to do it for my Champions League predictions. As I said, I might be uploading another little review of these results later on. I've got an idea in my head, like I said at the beginning of the video, and on the Thursday, I will be uploading my Premier League predictions video, so that's going to be super exciting. If you did enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like on it, subscribe today, turn on the notification bell to not miss a single upload that is football related. I was talking to my friend about doing an in real life football challenge video, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. So thank you once again for all your support on these videos. Leave your predictions down in the comments below, because I read every single one and I really enjoy reading them. And I'll see you in the next video very soon.